Devil May Cry 2 was a bit of a disaster. If it released today, Capcom likely would have closed the door on any potential sequels. They would have nailed that door shut, moved on, and never mentioned the name Devil May Cry ever again. But this was the 2000s, this was the PS2, the generation of trying different things to see if it could work, and Hideaki Itsuno, the last director of Devil May Cry 2, knew he and his team had to come back with something bigger. In 2005, Capcom released Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening on the PlayStation 2, which later saw a special edition re-release and a HD port to modern consoles. Was it an improvement? Yes. Yes, it certainly was. With this third entry, Hideaki Itsuno wanted to cover everything that received criticism in the second game. That includes Dante's personality change, the boss design, the lower difficulty, the repetitive combat, and the large, dull environments. They tackled these first by setting the game 10 years before the original, acting as a prequel. This allowed them to revert back to Dante's old, cheeky persona, whilst adding in a youthful arrogance. Dante was redesigned to add to his personality, with his red coat returning but shirtless underneath and having longer, messier hair. They also fully introduced Dante's brother Virgil, who was merely one of the bosses from the original game. With DMC3 being a prequel, we get to see this brotherly rivalry in its height, and Virgil contrasts to his brother with him being fully clothed and having a sharper and sophisticated design to reflect Virgil's maturity. The bosses and enemies were completely redesigned. Basic foes were now more aggressive, and bosses required utilising more of Dante's moveset than just his guns. For Dante's arsenal, Capcom stuck closely to what worked in the first game. You start off with the Rebellion sword and the iconic ebony and ivory pistols. From here, most of your new weapons you unlock are retrieved by defeating the major bosses of the game, and each have different properties like attacks, animations, and extra special moves to purchase with red orbs. You get a guitar weapon from defeating the seductive demon Navan, Ice Nunchaku from defeating the opening Cerberus battle, which has some wicked attacks, a pair of dual elemental blades that can talk called Agni and Rudra when defeating their guardian forms, and there is many more. Your ranged weapons are no longer the over-reliable sources to overcome every enemy encounter like they were in the second game, but they still serve a great fluidity in the combat system, and come with many options such as the pistols, the shotgun, and the rocket launcher to name a few. Devil May Cry 3 now lets you equip up to 2 melee and 2 ranged weapons at mid-level checkpoints, with which you can switch between on the fly during gameplay. This, along with the new style system, which lets you choose a different fighting style that will give you an extra action such as a dodge mechanic or the ability to slow time around you, both help in really strengthening the fun and appeal of DMC3's combat system. It's no longer as archaic and clunky as the first game's combat, nor is it as bloated and repetitive as the second game. It's the perfect evolution, and gives the players so much more potential and customization. The style system specifically even adding to the replay value of this game. Now, the large, full environments of the second game have now been reduced to tight and well-designed arenas, with the 20 levels in the game mostly taking place within the Tower of Temen-Nigru, and a lot of your adventure will be climbing up and down this tower, battling demons and solving some more intricate puzzles. The architecture of the levels is magnificent, with you unlocking new routes that lead back round to old areas, and you even ending up in the stomach of a giant flying beast at one part. It feels so organic to move around this tower, and you never really feel lost, which was easy to happen in the first game's castle setting. Set 10 years prior to the first game, Devil May Cry 3 begins with our favourite demon hunter, Dante, in the office of his new business venture. He receives an invitation from a mysterious man known as Arkham, and a host of demonic villains, to join him atop Temen-Nigru, a humongous tower which acts as a gateway to the underworld that Dante's brother Virgil has erected in the middle of Los Angeles, with the intentions of acquiring his father Sparda's power. Dante sees this act as a challenge and thus battles his way up the tower to face his brother. whilst a new character, Mary, rides in on a motorcycle blasting demons with a plethora of firepower strapped around her. One thing that must certainly be pointed out is the cinematic action in these cutscenes has been dialed up to 1,000,000. There's spinning, slashing, shooting, rolling, gliding. The choreography and grace of the animation is just absolutely excellent. The action is so good to follow. These are certainly some of the best cinematic action sequences in video game history. So Mary turns out to be Arkham's daughter and wants to slay him as revenge for her mother's murder by his hands. Arkham manages to manipulate them all, using his form as the crazy jester character, which is really funny. He wants the power of Sparda for himself, and he used Virgil and Dante's rivalry to get it. When he claims Sparda's power, it begins to overwhelm him, and he transforms into a large blob creature that Dante and Virgil battle together. This section is so awesome with you controlling both characters at the same time. Jackpot. When he's defeated, Mary has one last confrontation with him where she denounces her name, taking up the mantle Lady, which she is called multiple times by Dante throughout. She then proceeds to shoot Arkham. Meanwhile, Dante and Virgil proceed to battle over the Force Edge Blade, Sparda's weapon which first appeared in the original game. In the final battle, Dante defeats Virgil, whom decides to stay in the demon world like his father before him. Dante crosses back over into the human world and battles the rest of the demons alongside Lady whilst the credits roll. This is how awesome Devil May Cry 3 is. Even the credits have action and keep you in control. But back in the underworld, Virgil is confronted by his father's old enemy Mundus, the main antagonist of the first game. We see Virgil run into battle against Mundus, which then leads into the first Devil May Cry game, where we will witness Virgil's fate as Mundus's follower Nello Angelo. It ties in very nicely at the end of the game. Devil May Cry 3's narrative is just pure excellence. It has the clear themes of family rivalry at its forefront, wanting to grow out of your parents' shadow and forge your own path, whilst also having a hooking amount of character drama between the three main characters, Dante, Lady and Virgil. You've got amusing moments like when the Jester character appears, and some of the best action sequences that you can find on the PS2 without a doubt. Upon completion, if you own this special edition on PS2, PC, or have any of the HD collections, then you will have the opportunity to play as Virgil. Virgil is the fourth playable character introduced in this series after Dante, Lucia, and Trish from the previous two games. However, Virgil is only a character swap, unlike Lucia's second disc in DMC2, where she had pretty much her own campaign. You'll simply be playing through the same 20 levels, but luckily Virgil comes with an entirely different moveset, wielding the Sparda Blade and the Yamato Katana. He also has throwable swords and his own unique fighting style that makes him extremely fun to play and well worth experiencing the game for a second time. Overall, Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening is one hell of a major upgrade. With its new style system, its selection of new weapons, incredible boss encounters, fantastic new setting, goofy characters, and solid, rich story drama, Hideaki Itsuno and his team at Capcom really gave it their all, and in no short part fully deserves my highest rating of an S for stylish. Truly one of the most terrific action games that you can get for the PlayStation 2 and one of my personal favourites. And after nearly 20 years, it really doesn't feel all that aged. It still reaches certain combat elements, story beats, cinematic energy, boss designs that some modern games still can't compete with. Its success also showed in the game's sales, with it achieving almost 3 million units sold and became the highest selling entry in the series at the time. Topping this one truly is going to be a hard fought battle, but we'll see where Capcom took the series next time on Don Critic. Thanks all for watching. If you want to see more like this one, I have covered a lot of games these past few weeks and have plans to cover a lot more. So I'll leave links in the comments below and I'll catch you next time and take care. Have a nice day.